From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE, direct from Santa Monica with your forced stimulus check update of 2021. A deal is reached for your recon overnight as the moderates and the progressives reach a historic deal that will call the recon for a vote in the next few days, either breaking till tonight today. Then, price tag of cola, it's coming up later. But first, we're going to go over the latest voting. When will that voting on that recon happen? Either breaking news as a major deal struck overnight. The confusion last night, very confusing for a lot of people. I'll explain what happened. Then, the exciting details is that the price is right, 1.75, 1.95, who knows? But moderate Democrats last night said, I don't care what the price is, I'm going to sign off on it. Whoa, this is huge, and this is breaking news as we head into the Senate. Then, the latest programs in and the latest programs out. The programs are now solidified for purposes of the House. I'll go over that incredible recon that'll pay you upwards of about $15,000 over a series of many, many different types of checks in this recording. Then, when time is allowed, we'll be going over to student loan debt forgiveness. More debt can be forgiven. The president signaled this for executive order. And then, of course, that COLA raise that is coming with this stimulus right behind it. We have a big, huge afternoon's broadcast. I've seen your questions. I've seen your comments. I'm ready to answer them. And it's a big afternoon as the recon is now slated for a vote and will pass. It's actually confirmed it's going to pass on the House side. And then off to the Senate we go. More programs in there, 3 of 3 that I predicted for you. It's in essence as though there was a vote, but wasn't a vote. I'll explain the latest details, and I'll explain to you why Nancy was wearing the same thing I'm wearing last night. Both her and I are wearing the exact same darn color. Just we do not go the same hairstylist. Thank goodness. And this is Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day and hope the weather is good where you are. A deal has been reached for that recon among moderate and House Democrats. We're done for purposes of the House. They just got to call the vote. I'll explain to you why. I'll explain to you what happened last night because it's confusing for a lot of people. 2 bills, 2 types of votes, a lot of stuff in the middle of the night. They didn't even order pizza. What was going on? The price is right, 1.75, even though they don't know what the price is. Sound confusing? It is confusing. I'll explain to you why a recon with a very confusing price that even the president misstated today is still going to the finish line. Very weird. Programs in, programs out. The only thing that is not out is Survivor. And last night it felt like someone needed to be voted off the island. Student loan debt forgiveness. More debt can be forgiven across the board. And I'm going to forgive some of the commentary during that House vote last night. That's coming up in my commentary later this video. And then COLA raise, it's 5.9%, but this stimulus is right behind that. We got a big broadcast, folks. I've been seeing your comments. I saw morning's countdown, which is, a middle of the night show. It had astronomical viewership. It's just one of those days. I'm here with a full slate of programming for you. I've cleared my schedule because guess what? I have nothing else to do. And this is Afternoons LALATE. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, because you're not going to see the breadth of the coverage or the accuracy or the in-depth analysis anywhere else except this channel. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let me give you a roadmap for this video, because there's a lot in this video. We're going to be first going broadly over the recon. Then we're going to go over the checks that have been passed in that recon at the subcommittee and have now survived the House negotiations. So it's in the final House bill. Then after the commercial break, we will be going over what happened last night, what's happening next for the voting process. Because I know that's the number one question people have. What happened last night? What's happening next? I'll have that right after the commercial break. And then we'll go into more detail about all these checks. All right, here we go. The recon passed in the subcommittee no less than 3 weeks ago was at 3.5 trillion. Today we sit at about 2 trillion, 1.9 approximately. It has a series of checks over series of different programs separated from what I call 3 clusters. Each of those 3 clusters have been negotiated and modified over the last few weeks. In this recording, we're going to go over each of those clusters of checks, which on average for most of my viewers across the board, across all these different checks, they collectively pay you about $15,000. When third stimulus became a law, I said from third stimulus, those collective checks would pay you about $15,000. I undervalued it because viewers of this channel have gotten $45,000 from third stimulus. The great news is that fourth stimulus will have everything from third stimulus that you got $45,000 from, again, a repeat, plus this additional clusters of other checks on top of that. So we're looking at the numbers. It could be a lot bigger than even $15,000. Let's go to hazard pay. They got it in there. The earned income tax credit is extended for an additional year. During this recording, I'm going to say hard cold cash, which refers to cash up front, and then back end cash, which is something you have to do to get the cash. So hazard pay, a back end check, got in there for 1 more year for those essential workers. $4,000 of elder care is believed in there. This is directly to you for the care for an elder person, then $4,000 for care for a young child. They got the hard cold cash of $550 to college students for the Pell Grant, expanding that and also making it now tax free. They got the hard cold cash. It's a hard expression. Hard cold cash in there for the CTC for 1 more year, $3,600 or $3,000 depending on your age of your child if you're a low-income household. Then they got money in there for repair of your home. This is hard cold cash. If that home is in a low-income community. Wow. And then they got back-end cash of $12,500. Yes, not $7,500, which we originally thought. $12,500 went up a lot for the purchase price of an electric vehicle, U.S. auto manufacturer union operation. So if you go and buy a new electric car or a new electric bike, 15% for a new electric bike, $12,500 for a new electric car. More than the $7,500 they were originally thinking. The first add-on got in there. Again, this was not something originally into the recon. In that subcommittee, it was pushed in there by Maxine Waters. And while it's not at $25,000, which she had proposed, it got in there. The amount we do not know. We do not believe it's at $25,000. What is it? It's hard cold cash for the purchase price of your first home. Whoa. So how would this work? Either during escrow or during sometime of right before it closes the sale, the federal government would pay that money to the seller in your behalf. This is hard cold cash. I've gotten great questions like what type of house, a trailer park, is it a trailer as much as a brick and mortar house? Is it a townhouse? Don't know. As soon as this becomes law, I'm going to go over it. I believe it's a yes to all those. But those are great questions. Keep them coming. I love questions like that. It means the viewers are really laser focused on getting the sums of money. And Lynn Glenn was among the viewers and Ryan today that asked great questions about that provision. It's huge. It's hard cold cash for the first purchase of the purchase price of your first home. All right, here we go. Second cluster of checks has more money for home repairs and paid leave. These are also hard cold cash. So let's go over each of them. Paid leave and family leave got in there. Then they got money for weatherizing your home, pre-kindergarten, and then community college out, and then money for weatherizing your home. You need to weatherize your home if that guy that was heckling Nancy comes knocking at your door, or Joe Manchin parks his Maserati in your driveway. All right, pay family leave, medical leave. How much does it pay? It's a fortune. It's hard cold cash, upwards of $1,000 a year to you. Then the pre-kindergarten, hard cold cash 1 year for individuals who have a 3 or 4 year old. Then the weatherize your home, that is believed to be either hard cold cash or back end cash. Not very clear at the moment. And there you go. Wow. We have more details about all these provisions. Stay with me to the very end. I'm going to go over every provision one at a time. So take notes. What I'm encouraging viewers to do. And if I still don't explain it clearly enough, send me a message and I'll feature it on air. $250 billion is the second add-on. They did not get that price tag, but they got a little bit less. And what is it? It is free home health care for my seniors and my disabled individuals. This is not hard cold cash. This is likely going to be just a covered benefit, so totally free for you. What is it? Exactly what I just said. If you are a senior or person on disability and you need home health care, now it's a covered benefit. The third cluster of checks, let's go to those and let's see the status of those one at a time. Boy, this was the cluster royale. Let's see what survived out of cluster royale. Free school meals for all survived, and then they got $65 a month hard cold cash checks per child. Cheaper prescription medication survived, but that is not a check. It's just cheaper benefits. Immigration reform survived, no checks. It's just a benefit. It's just a benefit issue. Then farmers, I don't know. Free internet, I don't know. Clean energy out. Workers, I don't know. And then expanding Medicare, that is in there somewhat. Let me go over the nuances of this, and this is featured heavily later in this video, so stay with me. Dropping the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 60 or 55, I don't know. I don't know if they got it in there. I haven't heard it, so I'm presuming they didn't. Expanding it in the Medicare gap states, 12 of them, yes, they got it in there. I'll explain that later in this video. They got hearing in there. I do not know if it's a voucher or a covered benefit. I think it's a covered benefit. That would be a hearing aid for you. And then dental and vision, not in there yet, but it's likely to go in there on the Senate side, says Bernie Sanders, and that's likely to be a hard cold cash voucher check right in your hand. Which brings us to the third add-on, and that third add-on is a monthly IRS stimulus check. It's very fascinating. If you look at what happened last night, when they called the vote on the roads and bridges, which is not the recon, it's the roads and bridges. We've done that video like 9,000 times. Guess who voted against it? The three people in the House that wanted to give you an MSC. Omar, AOC, Talib, and two others. The same House members that want to give you a monthly stimulus check vote against the roads and bridges. Did you notice that? I noticed that. I didn't want to say it publicly, but I guess I just did. So there we go. The interesting thing about this MSC IRS stimulus check is that they've been saying all this last 2 weeks, is the senators have a lot of stuff to add to this recon. It's the senators who are, one, negotiating the provisions, two, hemming and hawing about what's missing and what's not supposed to be in there, number three, saying things need to go in and things need to go out. So that's why Nancy has said, just send it over to the Senate. I'm done with the House, send it over to the Senate. And who's in charge of what goes in and what goes out in the Senate? Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. Chuck Schumer calls the vote-a-rama, the final 2 days of voting process, 48 hours in which senators can introduce stuff. They've been doing this for decades. They introduce stuff never mentioned during the scope of the negotiations, sometimes totally brand new. Example, case in point, is when Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren introduced loan forgiveness under IRS code. Normally, if your loan was forgiven by the president, as it has been and featured later in this video, you would have to pay taxes on that. A fortune of taxes, $10,000, $20,000 of taxes. Not anymore, because during the vote-a-rama, a third stimulus, Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren introduced a provision during the vote-a-rama solving that. Vote-a-rama provisions are very, very common. But what's different here is that we see a lot of provisions that need to be added across the board. So we have a second opportunity, which is a Senate subcommittee. Bernie Sanders, the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, could send stuff into a subcommittee and do work up stuff a little bit more. In the second half of this video, you're going to see how many things senators say they got to add in there, signaling perhaps a subcommittee is happening. But it's important to advocate because guess what? We're at that big critical juncture. That advocacy is needed, and let's read that incredible message from the chief of staff to the number one legislator in that recon. That message is you need to pick up the phone and call. They now have in total between congressional secretaries' offices received more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. That's over 3 million. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories for the LA viewers. Now they have a better understanding of what people are doing to get through this pandemic because of the LA viewers. They have heartbreaking stories in the LA viewers, and they have the voice of the people in LA across the nation, as you have been too loud to be ignored. Very, very kind words. Let's read the last sentence on air together. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as the professional voice of the people you have become until this becomes law. So, have you made your list of the names to call? Coons, Casey, Warren, Schumer, Sanders, and any other of the senators I featured in this channel like Wyden. You need to call all of them. Advocate for the inclusion. You're not tracking it. You're not asking. You're advocating. As Jennifer says in every video, have you picked up the phone and advocated? As someone said in Morning's Countdown today, For everyone who's asking, have you called? For everyone that is wondering, have you called? Absolutely. Now is the critical juncture, because when the senators get their hands on that recon, boy, here we go. In the second half of this video, we have a lot coming up. All your questions are asked as a deal was reached last night for your recon. Confusing? I'll explain it to you, because it is very confusing. In fact, the president even messed it up in his press conference. Voting. The voting is now set, but the voting is much of a rubber stamp. Why? I'll explain the details. Price is Right for purposes of the House. They're not going to really haggle over the fact that no one really knows what the price of the recon is. Strange? It is strange. Even strange for me to explain, but I will. It's coming up later in this video. Programs in, programs out. For purposes of the House, we now know the programs in and out. Not for purposes of the Senate, because the Senate is going to have more money. Then student loan debt forgiveness, more debt could be forgiven. Whose debts? I have that coming up later in this video. And then fifth stimulus. We got fifth stimulus right behind the fourth stimulus. We got all those details and more as we go into a second half of this video. Stay with me. Make notes. Get that pen and paper ready, because here comes the rundown of all those checks. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Afternoons LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then Afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LALATE as a deal happened last night for your recon. And so then we look at the Senate deal next. What's going on? I'll explain the details as a vote is now secured, and that vote will be a rubber stamp. It's not much of a question, it's just what day. The price is right, but no one knows what the price is. This is the strange part of the recording. Even I think it's strange. Not my doing, not my program. Programs in, programs out. We'll go over the latest programs and switch surfers with that. Then we turn to student loan debt forgiveness. As more debt could be forgiven across the board, whose debts could be forgiven? The latest details direct from Santa Monica. And then the big cola raise, if it's stimulus right behind that. Boy, we got a lot coming up in the second half of this video. I've seen your questions, I got all your answers, and to the extent that I can explain a very messy situation from Friday night, I will do my best. And this is LA, America's most comprehensive, most in-depth, and most talked about news channel. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with 16 hours of programming per day. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE. Watch that video. It's the 5 o'clock show. There's expected to be a lot of talk this weekend because even the president started at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time talking about the recon. Stay with me all weekend long with new shows on mornings, noon, afternoons, and evenings. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Let's go over all the dramatics that unfolded last night, and I'll explain to you each of the details one at a time. Let's first explain what happened Friday night and what this means going forward. On Friday night, they were supposed to do certain things, and they didn't do exactly what they did. So let me explain to you what was going on. Remember, if you're new to this channel or you just found this channel, we have two separate pieces of legislation. One is called the roads and bridges, or the infrastructure. The other one is called the recon, but broadcast media calls it the social spending. As if that's not confusing. Now the president was referring to both of them with the same name. Yeah, the Build Back Better Act or program. And he's using the same word to refer to both of them. Yeah, so let's keep it separate. The roads and bridges and the recon. Now, they were supposed to both go for a vote last night. They didn't. The roads and bridges has already passed the Senate, and it was only waiting for a House vote to become a law. The recon has not passed either the House or Senate. The recon requires no GOP votes. It is purely by Democratic vote. And so what happened last night? What happened last night was that they were, as of about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the moderate Democrats were repeating the same thing I told you was an issue on Thursday. It was an issue for me as well. This is an issue for a lot of people. How much is this recon? Is it 1.75? Is it 1.95? Is it 2 trillion? Here's the issue, was that their question was correct. I've been asking this since last weekend. The price tag was 1.75, the recon, when it didn't have the 3 added in provisions. It's now been added in paid leave, which is $200 billion, bringing you to 1.95. It is added in cheaper prescription medication, price tag unknown. It is added in their paid leave. It is added in their SALT, price tag unknown. So we're clearly at 2 trillion. On Wednesday morning, approximately, the one of the bureaus that was helping the situation, which was called the Joint Committee on Taxation, issued a report that said the recon is only paid for 1.48. I mean, you may have heard the president addressing the American people today saying the recon is 100% paid for. Untrue, according to that taxation report. It says it's $500 billion unpaid for. So everyone was seeing this issue. I was seeing this issue. You were seeing this issue. And moderate Democrats said, I need more clarity. And so they said, I need a nonpartisan report that we always use. This is not a strange situation. We always use this report. It's called the Congressional Budget Office Report, CBO. And I told you on Wednesday it takes at least 1 day to do the report. It takes a few days. So by Friday evening, the moderate Democrats turned to the progressives and said, we need the CBO report. The progressives said, you know what? We got a problem. We're not going to allow the vote on your roads and bridges if you don't give us a guarantee that you will pass the recon. Follow me so far? So we have on one side the progressives with Jalopal saying, I'm going to block your roads and bridges unless you give me a guarantee you are going to vote in favor of our recon. We have the moderate Democrats saying, well, I'm not going to vote in favor of your recon unless you unblock my roads and bridges. So out of nowhere, Nancy Pelosi did what she does best. Somehow, some way, she was able to get the moderate Democrats and the progressive Democrats to get to an agreement that was jaw-droppingly incredible. I could never have believed she got this agreement. She got the following agreement, that the progressives led by Jalopal will vote in favor of the roads and bridges Friday night if the moderate Democrats vote, they literally voted last night, they will vote that they will pass the recon after a CBO report is issued to them. They signed a letter stating that, and they said it face to face and raised their hand. They literally did everything except, share blood. And she got it. She got a literally confirmed etched in stone agreement from the moderate Democrats that they will pass your recon. So why not pass the recon on Friday? Because they want the CBO report, to which I would obviously ask. So when they get the CBO report, can they wiggle out and say, I don't like the CBO report now, so I'm going to vote against it? No, that was the strange deal they made last night. That was a strange deal that they made last night, that that the moderate Democrats promise that they will be voting in favor of the recon as soon as the CBO report is released. When? So the vote will happen the week of November, no later than the week of November 15th. Now, let me say that again slowly, because I know there's someone they're right on Twitter right now, misquoting me. No later than the week of November 15th. Now, I'm not saying it's on November 15th. I'm saying the week of November 15th, and I'm not saying the week of November 15th, no later than that week. So it could happen next week. How quickly have I seen CBO reports? I've seen them done in about 7 days. I don't know when they requested it because we were talking about this 3 days ago. So they may have requested in the middle of this last week, which means we may see it this coming Tuesday or Wednesday. So is the recon 1.75? What would that CBO report say? The CBO report, when it comes out, may say the recon is $2 trillion, like I've been saying, or 1.95, and that $500 billion is unpaid for. If it does, this is where it gets weird. If it does, the moderate Democrats have already agreed on the House. They're passing the recon. Who cares what's in the CBO report? We're still passing it. Very, very peculiar agreement. The reaction to last night, Representative Mark Pocan said the whole night was a cluster. I can't say the word. At the end of the day, we got it done, and this is going to be a defining moment for us as a Democratic Party, said Brenda Lawrence. It was a huge effort. Whoever got this done, which I believe was Pelosi, it was absolutely incredible. Jalapal literally stood face to face, eye to eye with Gothenheimer and made him sign it in her presence, looking her eye in eye, that the recon will be voted in favor of it by the moderate Democrats. The comments came in across the board. If you are a member or subscriber or part of the LALATE alert system, which is totally free, it's under the video, you got the alert last night. Here was the statement issued by the moderate Democrats. We commit to voting for the recon in its current form, other than technical changes, as expeditiously as the Congressional Budget Office report is released. And then the Progressives said the Progressives will advance the Roads and Bridges and Jobs Act for a vote tonight. So that was the agreement across the board. We commit to voting for the recon in its current format and no later than the week of November 15th. And that was signed by 5 moderate Democrats in a statement in face-to-face with eye to eye. So there we go. Whoa, dramatics. So takeaway. When is the vote on the recon? The vote on the recon will be no later than the week of the 15th. I think it could be, if I was to guess, and I know someone's going to say, you predicted. Yeah, okay, I'm predicting. You promised. No, I did not promise. I predicted. I predict Nancy will try to get a vote on this coming Thursday at, let's see, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh, no, 9:15 Pacific Standard Time, which is about 12:05 midnight. She just loves 12 midnight every Thursday night. I don't know what's with her of Thursday at 12 midnight, but I just get a sense she's going to call it again this coming Thursday. So take a nap this coming Thursday. All right, let's go to the programs in and programs out, because boy, here we go. Now let's understand the programs in at the moment are programs that are in the House. And so whatever is in the House will no longer be modified for purpose of the House. The House is, in essence, done. That is not the recon done. No way is it done, because the senators have a lot of changes to make. They have stuff they want to take out. They have stuff they want to put in there. And that Senate modifications, boy, it's going to be like pulling teeth. But let's go over the programs. I want you to get your pen and paper ready. We're going to go over paid leave and all the other items. Remember that these programs, across all these incredible programs, if you're just tuning into the video right now, pay you on average about $15,000 across all these clusters of checks. By reference point, when third stimulus passed, I told you that third stimulus was going to pay viewers on this channel on average about $15,000 across all these different programs. The average viewer of LA has gotten over $45,000 from third stimulus. The irony is that the same programs that paid viewers $45,000 under third stimulus, which were valued at about $47 billion, are being repeated under fourth stimulus at $175 billion. Before I get to the new programs. So yeah, when I'm saying across these programs, you could potentially qualify for upwards of $15,000. Here we go. Who qualifies for this money? If you're watching this video and you make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, I can't help you. But other than that, I can help you. All right, let's go to the incredible details starting right now. We're going to go over each program at a time, and we're going to start with the paid leave, which is one of 3 provisions which got in this week. The paid leave will be a lot of money. What is paid leave? What's family leave? It is you have to stay home because of the birth of a child, or you have to stay home because of either you're sick or a family member sick. How much is it going to pay? Under third stimulus, they were proposing to do this at $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or $8,000 or more per year. Split in half, $35,000 annual salary, $800 a week. Split in half, $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. How many weeks did they get into this? 4 weeks is confirmed. Who is covered? That coverage will be all workers, any income level, any type of status, W-2 or 1099 workers. So if you're an independent, if you're a self-employed plumber and your wife is giving birth, that's you. If you work at a department store as a W-2, that is you. So that is a massive amount of money. Let's go over to the second add-on that got in there this week. I started this week by telling you that paid leave was going to get in there, that SALT was going to get in there, and that cheaper prescription medication would get in there on the House side. All three of three got in there. The SALT, someone asked me this morning, can you explain this again a little bit slower? I will. When you go to pay your state taxes in your respective state, if your state has state taxes, you pay a certain amount of money. Then you go and do your IRS tax return. Under the 2017 Trump tax code modification law, you can only deduct on your federal tax return $10,000 of your state, of how much you paid in state taxes. SALT is lifting that cap, but they didn't get to lift the cap enormously. So what did they get? This was for the moderate Democrats. It really helps people in states like California, New York, New Jersey, where taxes are very high. So they now will allow you to write off on your IRS tax return up to $72,500 of what you paid in state and local taxes. So, for example, let's say you paid $11,000 in taxes in the state of New Jersey last year. And, well, under the Trump code, you can only deduct $10,000 of that off your IRS tax return. Now you can deduct $11,000 of it. It's huge for a lot of people. Next, the family leave, medical leave, we just went over that. It's $200 billion of that. Then they got money in there for money in there for the hearing care. Hearing care. We do not know if it's a voucher or a covered benefit where you just apply for it and you get the hearing care. I believe it's a covered benefit. And then they got $40 billion of job training, totally free across the board. The third add-on they got was a cheaper prescription medication, and I will go over that with you in just a second. Now, here comes that Medicare gap. People have been asking, what is this Medicare gap? It's a little confusing, but currently there are 12, quote, holdout states that have Republican governors that refuse to provide or pay for Medicare, Obamacare expansion while still providing it to its citizens. So the solution provided by Claiborne and Warnock is wonderful. They're going to be offering in those 12 states a workaround plan where now you'll be able to have subsidized private insurance for low-income individuals at a very, very discounted rate in those 12 states. Immigration reform got in there. Some people have been asking me to clarify this, so I want to clarify this. First of all, there's no checks for immigrants in this recon. There's no checks for immigrants in the roads and bridges. So what has Fox News been doing? Fox News has been running a story that says there's $400,000 checks in there in one of the bills or the other bills. Untrue. What's at issue? Immigrants that were separated from their families at the border during the Trump administration sued with the ACLU. Those lawsuits are now heading to settlement. It was initially thousands of people separated. The number of lawsuits is down, or parties is down to several hundred. So it's only several hundred people. And the report said that they were asking $400,000 settlement offers. The president is actually in the United States said, I'm not paying $400,000. I will settle, but I'm not paying $400,000. Again, it's not in the bills. It's not a check for every person. And it's a couple hundred people that are in lawsuits currently in the courts. Complete fake news. All right. Then housing assistance. Wow. This is a big one. They got $150 billion for housing programs. And this is your third stimulus and now the new add-ons. All right. Third stimulus had rent, utilities, mortgage assistance that paid viewers on average about $20,000 to $40,000 if you didn't include SNAP in there. It's coming back. It's coming back under fourth stimulus. Third stimulus with $47 billion. This one is $150 billion. So what is new on top of that? First of all, let me make clear. If you need assistance, you can get another round. You can get another round. For anyone who says, I'm not behind on my bills, then you need to lean on the nonprofits. The nonprofits cover people who are not behind on their bills. And you don't always have to be behind on your bills. City, county, and state, every city, county, and state does it differently. The eligibility is ultimately left up to them. You do not have to be behind on bills to qualify for third stimulus. Fourth stimulus will do another round. So if you've gotten 3 rounds of rent so far from this channel since 2020, you can get another round. And these rounds may potentially go into fall 2022. So what is the new additional items on top of that? This is where the big money is. This is all hard cold cash. The new additional sums of money are the home repairs in low-income communities, the weatherize your home, and the money for the purchase price of your first home. All these details require a lot of analysis. The eligibility can be changed by the Senate, but these are hard, cold cash checks. I've been seeing great questions saying, what if it's not brick and mortar? What if it's a trailer? Ryan asked that question. Lynn, Glenn, and myself, everyone's been asking how much for their first house. Don't know at the moment. And yes, this is not back-end checks. This is upfront checks. Then in-home health care for seniors and people on disability, that is probably a coverage benefit. Here comes a hard cold cash check of $550 for college students for the Pell Grant. You're going to get a check of $550. Then we have if you are a parent of a child in school, the school meals will be free, and when the child is not in school, you'll get $65 checks per month per child at home. The big surprise was the climate. That's $555 billion. We thought it was only for, windmills and manufacturing. Not true. In fact, the current rule that says you can deduct you can get a refund of $7,500 or tax credit for buying an electric car. It's ramped up. It'll now be $12,500 for purchasing an electric car in a union shop. That means U.S. shops like GM. And Chrysler and things like that. Someone said, well, what about Chevy? I'm like, Chevy's GM. Yeah, this is not the auto channel, but I can do the auto channel if you wish. All right, here we go. Deals. More deals, which is the cheaper prescription medication. This is a huge one. If anyone is a senior to this channel and literally trashes the recon, I don't know what's with you, because everyone who's a senior is on Medicare, and now your prescription costs are going to be it's just enormous. What's going on? For 20 years, since the charter establishment of Medicare's not been able to negotiate prices of medicine. Just unable to negotiate. So if a company wants to provide insulin and Medicare wants to charge you, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, then you have to pay it or don't buy it. And many people have not bought it. That was because Medicare was unable to negotiate prices of medication. For 20 years, big pharmaceutical companies, lobbied White House and Congress officials to never change the law. They loved it. They could just stick you with whatever price they wanted to. And for the first time in 20 years, that agreement has now been ended. For now, going forward, a dozen so medications, and the number will increase, will now be negotiated at preferred rates that Medicare wants to pay. The deal is that we're going to start at about 20 medications first, and then we're going to ramp up to about 30 medications by the year 2028 that have negotiated prices for the biggest of the medications you buy. And these are the big ticket items. We're not talking about the $10 medications. We're talking about things for cancer and arthritis and things like insulin, which will now be at a cap of $35. Yes, $35. Instead of hundreds or thousands of dollars. This will be the most expensive drugs in Medicare Part B and Medicare Part D. This is not the $10 drugs. This is the expensive ones. And the rates may not go up more than the inflation rate, big, because that's what everything is being teed up under fourth and fifth stimulus coming up later in this video based upon the inflation rate. And Ron Wyden said this is the first time that government will no longer have its hands tied behind its back. I got to really praise the White House And I also have to praise the president, and I also have to trash the press department because this was the biggest win of the president the last 2 weeks, and it got buried inside of a climate conference with John Kerry. Wednesday night, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before this, the president did this entirely himself. He got Kristen Sinema, who had blocked the recon for months because of this issue, on a Wednesday night to back off and say, yeah, I'll do it. I will do it. It was all him. It was all Joe Biden for this particular provision. And after that, we were done. Kristen Sinema is blessing the entire recon now. She is blessing this provision. And now, for the rest of time, this will get better. Chuck Schumer's statement when this happened was, this is the starting point. I'm going to get it better every year. They can come back and modify it and make it better across the board. The praises are coming in. Scott Peterson says this is really good for seniors. We have Dick Durbin says this is a major win. Jan Skowkowski says she just shocked they got this through with 15 paid lobbyists this last few weeks trying to block it across the board. So there you go. Now let's go over some other provisions. But first, let me go over what's going to happen on the Senate. Parliamentarian, yeah. The only thing I didn't predict right this week was I thought the Senate parliamentarian would rule on the fate of two provisions. I guess either they didn't present it to her yet or she didn't rule on them. What are they? They are immigration reform in the recon and paid leave. In my prediction, immigration reform will come out. She's previously ruled that immigration reform does not belong in there. I believe she's going to say the same thing again and take it out. Which means if it comes out, the money doesn't come out. It just gets reallocated to something else, like us, potentially. Then the paid leave, 50-50 on this one. A lot of people says it doesn't belong in there. I don't know if it'll come out. And a lot of people want to do it by bipartisanship. Very, very fascinating across the board. So what is next on the Senate side? The bill could land in the Senate as the minute after it's finished in that House. Remember, we're going to have the vote by no later than the week of November 15th. So we could have the vote this coming Thursday if that CBO report is done. If that's the case, we go right over the Senate. It's going to be very fascinating the first 24 hours in the Senate because we want to see where the bill goes. Does it go into subcommittee? Because Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Ron Wyden, a lot of people say, we got a lot of work to do. The senators have a lot of work to do. This is good news for us because guess what? When you look at this recon, that will pay all the same items under third stimulus that the viewers of this channel have gotten $20,000, $30,000, $45,000 on average. Those items are back again. And then there's new checks across the board that on total pay about $15,000 across all these different clusters. And we're before anything else that's added in there on top of what the House bill has. Bernie Sanders' provisions that he said were missing are virtually still missing. He said 1 week ago that this is the best bill since the 1960s, but it still has some major gaps. Those gaps are still there for Bernie Sanders. When asked, are you going to add provisions? Of course they're going to add provisions in there. It's unconscionable that we don't have these provisions taken care of. The comments continue with Ron Wyden, who says he's going to add provisions on there. And he says if the deal's not done till the Senate acts. And there's a significant amount of work to do. Chris Coons says there will be changes. Jalapa AOC all said they were getting comments all this week about changes from senators, and Murphy says there's changes. And Chuck Schumer will have to deal with the parliamentarian if she takes out those two provisions. Let's go over some more programs in, programs out. Get that pen and paper ready. We got some more checks, and we're going to go back over some prior checks covered in this video. So, hard cold cash checks for parents who have pre-kindergarten kids, 3 to 4 year olds, that will be 1 year of checks. The CTC, $3,600 or $3,000 for 1 year. Eligibility, very, very unclear. My notes show it at $60,000 single parent. Excuse me, my notes show it as $60,000 household. Then I heard they're trying to do $110,000 household. Now they're trying to do $150,000 household. Household refers to whether you're single or you're husband and wife or a married couple. Very unclear. Earned income tax credit, hazard pay extended for 1 more year. Home health care in there for seniors and also people on disability. Then the hearing, of course, covered the $150 billion for the repair of homes and then also for the purchase price of the first home. The $550 check for those college students, the earned income tax credit, the $65 check for parents of kids that need that meal but are out of school. That's per child per month. And then while they're in school, it'll be a covered benefit. Bernie said that it's unconscionable if we don't have teeth and dental in this recon. So let's go over the calculations of that, which at last point in this recon was a hard cold cash check. The teeth last left the recon on the House side as a hard cold cash check of $850. Basically a check in the mail to you, a voucher, another fancy word to say check, that would land in your mailbox or direct deposit of $850 a year for dental. Good, but not enough, I said, and certainly Bernie said the same thing. It's fine for cleaning, it's not enough for procedures. That's per year, per person. Bernie wanted 10 years, President wanted 3 years, then they went to vouchers. Expect Bernie to put this back in there. Number 2, vision. It just shocks the senses that vision is not in there. It's so non-controversial. It's just so, they can't see eye to eye because they need glasses. We see each other, except when we don't have glasses. It's so obvious. It's, first of all, of the 3 provisions, dental, vision, hearing, vision is the cheapest. It's so simple. Bernie wants 2 simple things: an eye exam per year and a pair of glasses. Done. I mean, what's so difficult about this? Eye exam, $50. Glasses, $100. Increase it a little bit more if you want to increase it more. Done. I mean, what's so difficult about this? Seniors, Medicare, done. It's the simplest thing. Do it by voucher, do it by covered benefit. It doesn't really matter. Voucher may be great, and you're done. I don't understand why it would be an issue. Oh, look at the running time. We're running at 5 hours this video at the moment. Child tax credit, 1 year, $60,000 or less. We covered paid leave. Here we go. Some more items. Housing aid, $175. That's incredible. Then in-home health care, that will be $100 to $250. We have child care for 1 more year. Let's go over student loan debt forgiveness. Another round will be has been offered. It's $10,000 per individual across the board. Democrats have been offered this by executive order. They should take it. Then fifth stimulus coming up right after fourth stimulus. They're looking to do this in the next few weeks and get this ready for the midterm elections. This would raise your benefits up one big time after fifth stimulus, after COLA. If you have not received that letter, your benefits next year are going up 5%, 5.9% starting January 1st. Again, 5.9%. Fifth stimulus will raise you up 2 more times. First, 1 time, then apply a new benchmark next December. That new benchmark would be inflation, which Jay Powell this last week said my number, which we're both looking at about 2 or 3% next December, 2022. There you go. Remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove their marriage penalty. Finally, my commentary. I can say so much, but I'm really happy. I'm very, very happy. It just, some things make no sense to me. How can you agree to something when you haven't seen a CBO? But they got it. Nancy, when she does deals, she does great deals. And I have no idea how she got the moderate Democrats to agree to a recon based upon a CBO they haven't seen and to call the vote once the CBO report is released. My thinking is the reason she's doing that is to say, okay, we're going to send this over to the Senate with the CBO report. So then the senators can butcher around with it based upon the CBO report. Maybe. I do want to address 2 series of verbs. The words promised and the words and predicted. There's some people that are using these strange words to mean things that they don't know. And remember, the purpose of this channel is to give you information. For example, 2 people sent me messages yesterday. Whatever happened to that $10,000 of hazard pay I was promised in 2020? Promised? There was a bill that passed a House called the HEROES Act. There was a huge bill. I think it was over $3.5 trillion. It landed in the Senate, and Mitch McConnell threw it in the garbage. It never got called for a vote. That viewer considers that promised. No, it passed in a House, and it was attempted to provide you that money, and it never was called for a vote in the Senate. So people's choices of words need to sort of you need to be careful with the choice of words you use. That was not a promise. It was an attempt by Democrats to pay you really good money, and the Republicans blocked it. Predicted. Predictions. The predictions are it's sort of like Las Vegas. No one could have predicted what happened last night. No one could have predicted what was going to happen. Fine. They said, he said, she said, they said. Legislators say things, and sometimes they can't get that thing done. And you see that what happened last night. certainly people would today say, but they said they would never vote on the roads and bridges until after the recon. Yeah, they did say that. They said they're going to block the roads and bridges until they vote on the recon. They did say that. But they made another agreement, and that other agreement is protecting the situation. So what's important to understand is that legislators are dealing with lots of people with lots of opinions. And often when people have lots of different opinions, one person wants something, another person doesn't want something. For every person who wants to give you something, there's someone who doesn't want to give you something. That's why I have to sometimes pivot and do something different. Finally, remember, I'm a news reporter. I'm reporting what they're doing. If they don't do it, it's not me. If they don't call the vote on the recon last night, it's not my doing. If they don't put a monthly stimulus check in there, it's not my doing. If they don't call a vote on the week by no later than the week of November 15th and break their agreement from last night, which was voted on and written on, not my doing. I'm here. I'm in Santa Monica, California. I'm reporting on what people are doing in another town. If they do not deliver on what they said to you, then they do not deliver on what they said to you. But nothing is a promise until it's law. And to this day, I have thousands, potentially thousands of viewers who applied for an EIDL, which was law. It was actually law, which means you're promised, applied on time, and never have been paid a penny. That is a promise that has never been paid on. When something is law and you apply for it and you don't get paid, that's certainly a promise that's breached. But if a legislation never gets from Nancy to Mitch in 2020, and he never calls it for a vote, yeah, it was an attempt, but it wasn't delivered. As we go over the next few days, we're going to see how things change across the board. We woke up this morning with the President of the United States addressing the American people about the events of last night and what's going forward. And even in that press statements, he made incorrect statements talking about his promises. He said during his speech that he made a promise on the campaign trail that he'll not raise taxes to individuals who make less than $400,000 a year. What he's not saying to you is he is raising taxes for people who make $800,000 as a married couple, meaning he will do it if you're a married couple, but not if you're a single individual. He also said that the entire recon is paid for. Not so, says the Committee on Taxation. That he says he will not raise the national debt based upon the recon. Not so, says the Committee on Taxation. Says that $500 billion of the recon is not paid for. Promise, not promise, statement, not statement. It's a very fluid situation. Ultimately, our job is to be informed. When you're informed, you're on top of the subject. And look at the running time. I promised I was going to stay at 45 minutes, and I broke my promise. There we go. And with that, I'm excited to see you on Evenings LATE, joining me in just 2 hours from now at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then join me on Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock, which was a big show last night, and then Stream Stimulus at 7 o'clock, our 3-hour programming block tonight. Meantime, if you're not become a member, consider becoming a member. That link is under the video, and get that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful afternoon, and I'll see you next on Evenings LATE.